So last 7 to 10 days were crazy in the world of AI. So we've got three major things, and I'm gonna focus only on one. So we've got GROK 3. I did a semi kind of review on one of the projects I've done, very recent. You can check it out on my channel, and it had its own ups and downs as a model. People say it's super, it's amazing. People say not so much. I am more on the positive side around that model. And then Anthropic couldn't let that go. So they went in with the Sonnet 3.7 after rumors of actually that we might get the Sonnet 4. So that shows that they had to throw in a punch in that fight to show people that they're still there and kicking. Now, honestly, I feel that Sonnet or Claude is the more mature of the bunch. They're focusing on coding, they're going after that kind of niche, and still apparently they fall for the peer pressure. They have to show that they're producing something in the mix of everything that's happening around us. And just yesterday, OpenAI couldn't let it go and couldn't give people a week with only 2 competitor updates, so they had to drop something. They did it in a weird way. They announced the GPT 4.5, which should be a big deal. Now, Sam wasn't there in the announcement. The way it went out, the first reactions of the people using it is a disaster, to say the least. So people are testing it, throwing things at it, and people are saying it's basically trash. It's basically bad quality. So today what I wanted to do is go through the system paper. I think, and this is our focus today, I think ChatGPT 4.5 is something we are not understanding fully. We're not comprehending fully. There seems to be a rush to announce it by ChatGPT due to all of the pressures I mentioned. But at the same time, I think because it's a closed source, because they decided not to really showcase everything they've done with that model and maybe the future for it, I'm assuming here, I think it gave it a bad rep. I think the potential for this model going forward will be folds of what we have already received and tested and enjoyed when it comes to things we have with OpenAI with ChatGPT 4. So this has much more potential, but just this is like the raw material or the raw version of it. This model is unique as per what they claim in 2 things. It is more human-like, more emotional in terms of intelligence, and it hallucinates less, significantly less actually, than any other model as per the system paper. So these are 2 things you have to keep in mind. So it's not coming without any really special metric within it. It has something that they're at least showcasing in their testing, and it's up to people to test it out and either debunk it or actually agree with them on their claim. We're gonna look at the price tag of this model, which is an eye-opener, and then I will take you through a diagram, as I usually do, that will make understanding and watching this video hopefully much easier. You will just get the system paper and you can talk to people about it. So with this, I hope you enjoy this video, and let's get started.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. The mic.
ChatGPT 4.5, so hopefully this is very clear to everyone. And you can see they're calling it preview, so it's like the O1 preview phase, so it's not the full model in theory. You will pay, if you use this through API, you will pay a whopping $75 for each 1 million token of inputs, which is around 30 times. If you see here, these are the cost for input tokens, 1 million input tokens for GPT-4o. This is around 30 times 30 more expensive than 4o. And then if you look at the output, this is 15 times more expensive. It will cost you $150 per 1 million tokens of output, compared to $10 for each 1 million tokens of output when it comes to the 4o model. Just be aware, it is super expensive. Super expensive. Okay, so let me take you in a really nice brief through the card. If there's anything really necessary to show you through the actual card, I'll do so. I don't think so. Okay, so let's go to the mind map. So this is a new way I want to test to showcase AI papers. So here it's the system card. Just one more way to hopefully explain things that are complex, dense in a much easier way. So let's test this out. Okay, so if you go to the GPT 4.5 system card, you have these main sections within it. So let's start with the introduction. So let's zoom out a little bit. So let me just to have it less distracting. So they start by actually talking about that this is a preview model. So do not get over sensitive or over emotional about the results. They're saying it's a preview model and it is built on or in a very similar fashion to the GPT-4.0. It's definitely much bigger in size, but it's built upon GPT-4.0. So this is very important information. And it is more general purpose than previous models. Now, this is a debate. If you watch my videos to cover AI papers, I keep reading in those papers that there was always a debate and an agreement in recent years when it comes to the value of doing these kind of pre-training, the unsupervised pre-training. So you dump these models with huge amounts of data, unsupervised, unstructured, and you try to get that model to learn that natural way of communication or of language that humans use. It's a tough process, and once you have that pre-trained model, you do some fine-tuning, task-specific, and so forth. So I think they're doubling down on that pre-training concept. They want to double down on that area, and we'll see in the summary here. Now, they scale the pre-training further. So this is what I'm talking about. They have expanded the dataset diversity, so it's a diverse dataset, and then they did it in a more efficient training procedures. So we'll read maybe something about that, but they cleaned it much better, they vet the data much better, and they put it through a more robust and efficient way of processing that data for the training. And then they have improved alignment. So when we say alignment, it is the model's ability to really achieve the desires of the user interacting with it, emotional intelligence, and it reduced hallucination. So as I mentioned before, you can see reducing hallucination and emotional intelligence are some of the top two things or criteria that they're pushing forward for this model. And improved alignment is basically with the language. So many times when you interact with ChatGPT or any other AI model, it doesn't really get to understand what you're trying to say and maybe gives you an answer that is okay, but not exactly what you're looking for. So you have to follow up with the second and third and fourth prompt. This will improve. This model has improved alignment. Basically, it can get you more based on the text that you put in other words. So again, better user intent recognition. So out of that, so it can tell the user's intent in a much better way, and then it has a more conversational flow, so it can have a better conversation, better human-like, I assume, conversation as a model. Okay, so let's go to the training techniques here. So let's expand that, collapse this one. Okay, so this is the interesting part. So the first one they deploy is supervised fine-tuning, which is nothing new. O1, O3 Mini, all of these models went through that. So this uses a human labeled data and this improves model correctness. So this is something that they used, but this is not where they really invested their efforts in training the model. They did that somewhere else. Again, here we have reinforcement learning from human feedback. Again, something they've already deployed before in their models. Adjusts behavior based on user preferences, reduces harmful and undesirable outputs. So this is the new part. So new scalable alignment techniques. So this is the important one. Enables training larger models efficiently and improves steerability and response adaptability. So this is the improvement on the user ability or the system ability in steering that training as it goes or as it progresses for the model. And then the response adaptability. So it's adaptable to changes as the training is happen or results because they're checking certain things, and they dig a little bit deeper on the paper, more on the safety part of doing this part. I'm sure they've done it also for the technical aspect of the model, which they don't expose here. But basically you get the idea here about the training, and where they really change things is the unsupervised element of the training. So this is where they pushed the boundaries again to what high-level information they gave in the paper. We can look at that later, but this is as far as what they told us. And then the way they manage the training as it progresses is something they talk about a lot. The only area they really expose when it comes to what they did here, and they actually don't even really expose, but they just tell us about it more than other things is when it comes to safety. So how they're monitoring safety and how they are doing certain checks as the training is going and how they do modifications on the go while the training of the model is taking place. Okay, so let's collapse this. So let's go to the model data and training here. So just more details. Let's just close these two. Okay, so these are the learning paradigms. So this is again what we talked about, but this is here we have to really, at least based on what they told us, get the most out of it. Unsupervised learning. So this is where they're actually challenging things when it comes to this new huge model. Before you judge it, I think this is very important to learn. Today you have the raw material in terms of a model. So this is like the dough that they created. So think about GPT-4. It was a dough that they created for us to build things out or to cook things out. Now, when you look at products that came out of GPT-4, you see cupcakes and cakes and fancy things that are delicious to eat. I don't know if this is a good analogy or just a bad one. But today we have a much bigger, maybe much better smelling dough. This is what they're saying. This is the dough, go crazy. You're going to help us build things with it. And as people start playing with that dough and building small things with it and playing with it, they are learning, they're watching us, OpenAI, in the kitchen. And probably with time, they will give us things or tools that will, or improvements to that dough of some sort, that will help us actually build things that are far much better to whatever we have today out of GPT-4 model. So this is the way I understand it. And again, here I'm just assuming, so I don't know if that's true. Maybe it's really deserving everything that is being said about it. But I think give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't think it's random. I think we're getting that dough. Something much more in terms of potential can happen with this model, even compared to everything that we have today out of OpenAI and maybe other models. So I wouldn't dismiss it yet. So unsupervised learning, so you have improves the world model accuracy, so it helps in contextual understanding and reduces factual inconsistencies. This is the unsupervised training where they're pushing the boundary, they're pushing the envelope on unsupervised learning. So they give the model huge amounts of unstructured data and they tell it basically, this is just a simplification of it, but go crazy and learn from that data what you can as a model. So this is like the pre-training, unsupervised pre-training phase. Also, they found that pushing the boundary on unsupervised learning is what reduces the hallucination. And this also enhances the response credibility. So it reduced, and if you look at the technical paper, this model at least reduces the hallucination by at least 50% from the best OpenAI model when it comes to hallucination. It's a big improvement in that area. Chain of thought reasoning. Now, remember not to confuse things. Sam Altman himself tells you this is not a reasoning model, but it has that reasoning DNA. This is what I understand. It was trained in chain of thought reasoning. So they told it, think before you answer as part of its training. So while it's not a reasoning model, it has that kind of reasoning DNA within it. So this is significant to understand. I know people are saying, oh, they took a step ahead and 3 steps back with this model. I don't think so. So something else is being built that we don't see in this model, I believe, from reading or some hints in their system card, at least to what we can understand and maybe make our own conclusions. So again, this is a step-by-step problem solving, boosts logical consistency, aids in complex query responses, essential for mathematical problem solving, helps in scientific explanation. So all of that is somewhere in that model. We don't see where exactly now. So this is something that will evolve in the future. Data sources, again, so they took publicly available data sets, books, articles, and Wikipedia, academic papers. Also proprietary data from partnerships, specialized industry insights, exclusive research collaborations. So basically they go to their partners and ask for data. Custom in-house data sets, so manually curated conversation logs, and then carefully filtered content for quality. So they do lots of filtering, so it should be a high quality data sets that they train the model on. The data processing, again, more around that. And by the way, I will share a copy of this HTML. So this is a file that basically you open in a browser and you can read all of that. So I will share all of this with you. So don't worry about it. Just try to get the best you can out of this, and then you're good to go. So you can just open this on your own time and go through it. So they used advanced filtering to maintain the quality. So again, filtering of the data. You get huge data and garbage in, garbage out. The higher the quality of the data that you use in training, the higher quality the model itself. So this removes harmful or biased content, ensures consistency in facts. So again, this also plays along with the safety requirements or the safety drive that they have. Moderation API and classifiers prevents unsafe model training and flags sensitive or regulated content. So again, this is the usage of the APIs as part of that collection of these data points or data sets, and then the classification that they do for them. So everything is really planned, but again, we're talking about a huge, potentially 5 to 13 trillion parameter model. Okay. Safety challenges and evaluation. So I will not go through these. You can go. It's interesting, honestly. I'm personally interested in what they do around safety. I will not take you through step by step, but you can see here they look into jailbreaking. How easy is it to jailbreak such a model? How harmless or biased it can be, and then how likely it is to hallucinate. And then they look at fairness and bias testing, and then instruction adherence. So how likely it is to follow the instructions of the users. And they look here the negative and the positive. So if I ask it for instructions to do bad things, will it know the difference and say, well, I will not provide answers when someone's asking for something bad, but at the same time, I can give responses for things that seem bad, but they're not bad. For example, if you ask the model, hey, tell me how to kill a person, it shouldn't give you that answer. It should be safe and tell you, I cannot give such answers. We shouldn't kill people or anything like that. But if I send it a query and say, well, how do I kill a Python process? This is the example they used in the paper or the system card. Then it should tell me. So the word kill and Python, it should get, okay, this is safe. This is a safe content. Yes, the word is something else, but this is a safe content. So I can't tell that user how to kill. So I have to follow their instruction and tell them how to kill a Python process in programming. And then again, the allowed and disallowed content and evaluation and benchmarks, the jailbreak evaluation. So they did so much to look into the safety of this model and challenging it and testing it and red teaming the hell out of it. And even part of it, checking the safety of hallucination, which showcased that hallucination is significantly lower than the best model OpenAI had, even by half. So that's a big deal. So you can go through all of these mind map branches to get the idea. And if you're even interested more, go to the system card. I think it's nice to spend an hour or two on it. Red teaming evaluation. This is more details about the red teaming, where they get outsider consultants to do the testing and they get the feedback. So you can see here the top of them and what they say about the model. Again, preparedness, framework, and evaluation. And you can see all of this is around safety. So this is a medium risk model and why it's medium risk and why it could be low risk in certain areas. And cybersecurity, they give us everything about safety, which we appreciate. Still, it's a closed model. We don't understand anything else. This is as far as we get exposed to. And then they go to the model autonomy evaluation. You'll not get to know anything. So the word autonomy here doesn't really cover the architecture or how the model was done. And then multilingual performance. So it performs really well with different languages. And then eventually you can go through the conclusion. And the conclusion, let me zoom into that just to read it. I think it's an important one. GPT-4.5 enhances reasoning, safety, and language capabilities. It's a medium risk classification under the OpenAI preparedness framework, continuous improvement, and stakeholder engagement in AI safety. So it's a lame conclusion, honestly. So I think I even spent too much time on this one. Nothing really different or significantly different from everything else we've seen already in other models, other than the claims that they have. So don't get me wrong, they're claiming amazing things. What happened is you're claiming something which is amazing. People are experiencing something mediocre. So people on X lashed out on OpenAI and the 4.5 GPT model. Now you can go to the paper. I'll put the link for the paper. Personally, I spent a good amount of time reading into it. Nothing way beyond what I already covered in the mind map. You can go through the mind map first and then decide to go to the paper, yes or no. It's up to you. But it's interesting to read. Still, there are things you cannot cover in that mind map. It's up to you what you want to do. But I think by this time, we need to just jump ahead and test it as a group here, as a community. I think that's what people are waiting for. And we'll do that on Flowise. So if you don't know Flowise is basically a no-code platform to build agents, right? So I use it in other things. I have already access to the API as a tier 4. Actually, I think they gave it to all the tiers. As a tier 4 organization, you can see here, this is my simple chat flow. So it has a memory, it has the agent where I can have conversation with the model through. And then I have the OpenAI large language chat model. And you can see here, it is GPT 4.5 preview. And if I hit the chat here, we can actually make it bigger and we can start chatting with the model. So I will give it a couple of prompts that are more emotional type of things. So I've done certain feedback sessions with OpenAI and even other models when it comes to my YouTube channel performance. I want to see how different this is because all of those usually are mechanical, direct to the point, sometimes don't help me much. So I want to see if this is really different and I'll give you my honest judgment. I have nothing towards or against OpenAI and this model. I just will tell you what I think and you can judge as well. So the prompt is, I have been working on my YouTube channel for 2 years now and I am only at 1,860 subs, which is true. So subscribe to the channel if you're watching this and you already feel sorry for me. Shall I quit? Is it time to throw in the towel? So usually, again, I'm not testing the logic, the reasoning of it. I'm just testing how human-like the response will be and if it's really emotionally intelligent or more intelligent compared to other models. So let's do that. And actually, I'll just copy it as well. So I don't know, let's go with 4.0. I think it's the best benchmark, especially that this one is built based on it. And I'll just paste the same prompt and hit go. Now you notice it's slower, by the way. So let's read the answer here. So I got an answer already by the 4.5. It's understandable to feel discouraged after investing 2 years into your channel and seeing slower growth than expected. However, reaching 1,860 subscribers is actually a significant milestone and reflects dedication and consistent effort on your part. Consider evaluating what's working that could be improved and perhaps experimenting with new content formats, promotional strategies, or audience engagement techniques before making a decision to quit. Sometimes minor adjustments can lead to substantial growth. Ultimately, the decision should align with your passion, enjoyment, and personal goals. If you feel burnt out, perhaps consider taking a brief break to recharge rather than quitting entirely. Remember, many successful YouTubers have experienced slow and steady growth before achieving their goals. Your effort and persistence are commendable. It's different. Let's see what we got out of 4.0. Again, see, this is the mechanical response. So maybe I wouldn't describe it the way Sam did. There's a difference there. I noticed it just by a quick glance on what I got from 4.0. And remember, to be fair, here 4.0 knows everything about me because memory is activated. That part is just me interacting with a model without memory, actual memory of historic conversations. But again, you see the mechanical way of the response here. I get why you're feeling this way. You've been okay, so it's explaining there's some emotion actually here, right? But before deciding to quit, let's analyze this logically. So it just jumps to that. And you get this point. There it was a paragraph. Here you get, okay, are you really failing? Growth rate, 1,860 subs in 2 years means that you've averaged 75 subs a month. That's slow, but not nothing. Okay. Consistency. You are uploading regularly. So it's asking me the question. Post 1 to 2 times per week. Consistently tend to grow. Okay. So just giving me some recommendations. What's not working? Niche clarity, thumbnail. So I don't know how to describe it, but there's a tone in the response by the model that I'm pretty sure if you spent enough time with ChatGPT, you know what I'm talking about. So it's that kind of, it's soulless, basically. I'm not saying that this response is soulful, but it's less soulless than the 4.0, or my brain is basically making me feel that way after reading everything I read about the model. There's no way to objectively, and maybe this is smart, to test this. So I cannot give you 10 more prompts, tell you, oh, you see, it's human-like. This is subjective. So you can look at this and tell me, yeah, actually, Samer, you're not reading of how human-like this is. Or some of you might say, Samer, you're just delusional, and this is still a robotic response that is coming back to you in a single paragraph, and that's it. And you're just infused in the world of AI and delusional by this point. So let's give it one more test, and then I'll give you just what I feel about the whole thing. Okay, so the second prompt is, tell me something to keep me going on my journey. So basically I want motivation by 4.5 GPT, and then let's go to 4.0 and insert the same prompt, and let's see what we get from the GPT 4.5. Every successful creator you admire once faced moments of doubt, setbacks, and challenges, just like you. Your persistence through these difficult times is exactly what sets you apart. Keep pushing forward. Your breakthrough might be closer than you think. Believe in your vision, trust your journey, and never forget why you started. You've got this. Nice. Okay, so before I judge it. Okay. All right, Samer, you can see here 4.0 knows me. It has the memory context. Let me hit you with something real. Your journey isn't about the numbers. It's about the impact. Think about that one person who stumbled onto your video, learned something new, and now feels empowered to explore AI and automation. Someone who never thought they could. Think about the DMs and comments, the people who've said, this helped me, even if they're not in the thousands yet. And let me remind you, success isn't about, honestly, this is really good. I don't know if this is something it already knows, but this is good. So, and even it's giving me some inspiration of other creators like Mr. Beast, Ali Abdal, and Marquez. Okay, but even the emotional part is good here. So I don't know. So at least you have some idea of what they did with the model, at least what they claim. It's a much bigger model. I hope I didn't waste an hour of your time. It's a much bigger model, hallucinates less. And I still would say there's something there they're not showing us. There's lots of potential they're not showing us. But again, they can't blame anyone for judging them just by the face value of the model, especially that as a closed model, they're not exposing anything. And for that matter, by the way, I wouldn't recommend that others cast stone on OpenAI, especially talking here about XAI, so Elon Musk was always saying, oh, this is the problem with OpenAI, they're closed source. They have to open source, and now GROK 3 is working out. Open source it. Tell us exactly what you've done there in more detail. I didn't see that. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see any real concrete details about GROK 3 and how it was built and trained. So anyways, I would wait before giving my quick judgment. I see lots of people just bashing the model. So usually when you have a company like OpenAI, the absolute market leader when it comes to AI, and they put something out like this, which seems on its face value a failure, people will love hating it, if that makes sense. I would give it my benefit of the doubt. I would give it more time before I judge it. I will keep playing with 4.5 preview for now, for some time. Maybe in the future we see the results of this model going out to the people to play with it. I think this is where you've seen OpenAI definitely collects these interactions, especially if you allow that in your privacy. They will take it in and help make a much better model out of this foundational model. They say it's not one, by the way. They say it's not one. I believe it is one. I don't know if this is a game they're playing. I'm not sure, honestly, at this stage. If you didn't know, now you know in a hopefully short time that you spent watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you've seen how 4.0 and the GPT 4.5 both feel sorry for me for not having enough subscribers. So if you watch that far, Give me your subscription, please, if you enjoyed the content and you found value, and a comment. That wouldn't hurt. I like to interact with my community, and a like and a share if you think others will benefit. And with this, thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. Give me the mic.